Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the BeWatchmaker Children's Watchmaking Kit. This watchmaking kit will be available from Kickstarter.com from the 15th of September for $190, which is €162 respectively. BeWatchmaker are a mic brand based in Le Brulot in Switzerland, and they specialise in making watchmaking kits for Swiss watches. So they very kindly gifted me this baseball cap, and as you can see, it's embroidered with a red B, which is the brand emblem, BeWatchmaker logo, and beneath it says "Make Your Swiss Watch," because as I've detailed, they specialise in making watchmaking kits for adults to assemble their own Swiss watches, and those watchmaking kits are available from BeWatchmaker.com. Now, this kit is different because usually their watchmaking kits for Swiss watches are intended for adults. This watchmaking kit is specifically made for children aged 12 plus. So it's in the form of a book, as you can see. It says "Build Your Watch" on the front. On the spine it says BeWatchmaker, and on the reverse it has a message. And it says "Includes all tools to assemble your watch in parts, and video training by a Swiss watchmaker. This product is recommended for ages 12 and up and takes about 30 minutes to assemble." And there's a British and French flag because they provide a video and it's bilingual, both in English and French, to suit children of both languages. Elasticated strap which secures it, so one opens it rather like a book. And on the inside we have a message from the CEO, Weber Lucas: "Welcome to the world of watchmaking." And on the right we have 4 cutouts. The left hand cutout houses the watch, so we have the head of the piece and the strap assembled to it, and then we have on the right 3 pockets, and they house plastic cases, and that's the watch dial, the movement, and also the handset. What I like about this is it's clearly intended for children ages 12 plus, and they've used the correct terminology. They've simplified the English and the language so that a 12-year-old plus could understand it. It's clearly not intended for adults. So we have an introduction to the case and strap, introduction to the dial, introduction to the movement, and lastly introduction to the hands. And it's very easy to understand. And looking at this from the perspective of a 12-year-old, a 12-year-old would be able to comprehend what each of these parts do, what the purpose of them is, and how they fit together. So I'll show the items that come with the piece, and then I'll look through the actual kit itself. So one also gets this envelope, and on the back it's stamped with BeWatchmaker, "Make Your Swiss Watch," and I'll take out the card inside. Just bear with me, it's a snug fit. So this is a thank you card. We have the BeWatchmaker logo, "Make Your Swiss Watch," and it says "Thank you for your order." On the reverse it says "Dear customer, thank you very much for your purchase of our watch kit," and then it is signed by the CEO, Weber Lucas, and also the COO, Hivit Paul. Nice to get this personal touch and hand signed thank you card from the CEO and COO. So in the kit one gets this jeweler's loop. As you can see, the jeweler's loop is removable from this headband. The headband is stainless steel, and good attention to detail because it has a plastic nylon cap on it, and that means the end of it isn't going to scratch a child. So they've thought this through very well, and it is removable because, for example, some children might prefer not to wear the headband if they find it uncomfortable. So one can remove the jeweler's loop, and you can simply hold it with your eye pressure as an alternative if you don't want to wear it. But some children might enjoy being a watchmaker and actually wearing it with the headband, which is easy to fit. Just bear with me and I'll do it. It's spring loaded, so it just snaps in very securely, as you can see. And the stainless steel band is flexible, and so it's going to be comfortable for a 12-year-old child or even an adult to wear. So this is good because immediately they get the feeling of being a watchmaker, using a jeweler's loop to assemble the piece. One also gets this BeWatchmaker branded microfiber polishing cloth. I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth, irrespective of the price point of a piece. And one also gets this vinyl case, which is white, and on the front it has the BeWatchmaker emblem and BeWatchmaker text logo. It's rather like a pencil case, stainless steel zip. So I'll take out the items and show them to you, but first I want to show you the other items. Also comes with this vinyl mat, which is branded with BeWatchmaker and the BeWatchmaker emblem. It's matte grained finish on both sides, and this is padded, and so this goes on the desktop or tabletop before you start assembling the watch. And it's good to get this because it protects the desktop or tabletop from being scuffed or scratched by the tools, and also it's nice and soft, so therefore it's comfortable for a child to work on when assembling the watch. So I'll take out the items from the toolkit, as you can see. First of all, we have this rubber blower, and this is good because it's good for blowing out lint or dust particles from the inside of the watch case, the dial and the movement, and also the hands when you're assembling it. And it's very soft, so it would be easy for a 12-year-old child to use, and it has a plastic nylon tip to it, so rather than being metal, sometimes blowers have metal tips, and of course with a metal tip there's a risk of scuffing or scratching a watch dial when you're assembling it, but by having a plastic tip this reduces the risk, so it's very well thought through, works very well. One also gets this resealable bag which has latex finger cots, and the finger cots go on the index finger and thumb, and they can be used on the left or the right hand, and these are good because they prevent the finger and the thumb from contaminating the watch parts such as the watch hands, the watch dial, the movement, and the inside of the watch case such as the crystal with dust particles and greasy fingerprints. So the child, or indeed adult if they're going to be using this kit, can put on the finger cots on their index finger and thumb, and that prevents contamination, so very well thought through. One also gets this cardboard envelope. Now this contains a spare set of watch hands. The kit comes with an hour, minute and second hands, but however they appreciate that some children and also adults assembling the watch might damage the hands when setting them on the cannon pinion, alternatively removing the hands, because the kit is intended that you assemble the watch and you might want to disassemble the watch after and reassemble it again. And of course when you set hands on the cannon pinion or you remove hands several times, there's a risk of damaging them if you're not used to doing that, so they've included a spare set of hands. Inside this envelope is an hour hand, minute hand and second hand, and the kit also contains the same again. One also gets this plastic bracket, as you can see, and good attention to detail because it's branded in red with the BeWatchmaker B emblem. It folds out, as you can see, made from plastic. Now, the purpose of this is it's a base for you to set your smartphone. So this will be useful for an Android or iPhone, and you simply slot your Android or iPhone into this base plate and it holds it steady at a suitable angle, so you can sit this on the desktop and then you can watch the video on your Android or iPhone, and the video, as I've detailed, is available bilingually both in French and English to suit children that speak either language, and it details step-by-step instructions of how to assemble the watch, and it is of course crafted for a 12-year-old to be able to comprehend. So nice to get this stand or base plate for the phone to sit in, and nice to see it's branded rather than being sterile. Now one also gets this base and it's padded. It's got a sponge which is vinyl coated with grained vinyl, rather like PU leather, and the body of it is made from aluminium, which is brushed satin finished. Bevels on the top edge and the low edge, so no sharp edges, so therefore a child isn't going to cut their fingers or thumbs on it, and also it's not going to damage the watch parts when you're assembling it. Base has a rubber base which is grippy, and this is good. Very good attention to detail because the rubber base doesn't slip around on a desktop or a tabletop, and indeed it's very grippy on this vinyl mat. So when you sit the base onto this vinyl mat, it doesn't slide around, and this is for the assembly of the watch. So when you set the watch case or the head of the piece down onto this pad, it doesn't move around. And also the watch components, for example, if you put the movement on this to set the dial on it and then set the hands, it gives a good base for the child to work on, and it's not going to accidentally slide around, so therefore it means they can have two steady hands for working on the assembly. This is good quality, I like it. Rubber base is good, and also it has a sponge pad beneath the vinyl coated top of it, and I like its aluminium, very well finished, no sharp edges on it, so it's safe for a child to work. That's the important thing. Now one also gets this, which is Rodico putty, and you'll be familiar with this because I've shown Rodico putty in my previous watch modification reviews. This is very useful because Rodico putty is used for removing greasy fingerprints, dust particles and lint from the inside of a watch case, the crystal for example. It can also be used for removing dust and lint and dust particles from a watch dial and handset, but it also serves another good purpose. It can be difficult to pick up watch hands because they're very small, and sometimes it takes a lot of manual dexterity with the tweezers to pick up watch hands when setting the hands on the cannon pinion. BeWatchmaker appreciate this, so as an alternative to using the tweezers included, the Rodico putty can be rolled up into a strip, and you can actually use it to pick up watch hands, and that aids you in setting them on the cannon pinion, but its main intended purposes is to clean up watch parts such as sapphire crystals, watch dials and watch hands. It removes greasy fingerprints and dust particles. So very nice to see some Rodico putty included. Now one also gets 2 wooden stakes. This stake has a bevel machined onto it, and the other end of the stake has a point on it. Now, purpose of the stake is used for pressing. For example, you'll use this to press the watch movements in the plastic nylon movement holder inside the case and sit it down correctly once you've fitted the dial and the handset. And you do need something which is relatively soft. And when I say soft, something that isn't metal that's going to scuff and scratch the watch parts. Using wooden stakes is what watchmakers use, because wood is of course softer than stainless steel or mild steel, and therefore it's not going to scuff and scratch watch parts. But it's got a point which is useful because you can use it for fine pressing parts, and the other end has a flat bevel machined on it, which again can be used for pressing things down without damaging them. Nice to get a wooden stake included. There's also a second wooden stake, and this one is different because it has a flat end on both ends. And again, this is useful because some children might prefer to use a flat-ended stake rather than a pointed stake. And of course, there's no risk of injuring the child because there's no sharp points on it. But they can use this for pressing down, for example, the watch movement into the case when they're fitting it. Good to get that included. Now, one also gets this crosshead screwdriver, and this is used for screwing the 4 stainless steel screws into the case back into the resin case when fitting the case back to the head of the piece after you fitted the movements. This is very good quality, and they deserve full credit for not using any production cost cutting measures and using a less expensive jeweler's screwdriver. So the body is made from aluminium, which is anodized in bronze. We have 4 rubber O-rings fitted to the shank. This is very good. It's correctly proportioned for a child's hand, and as I've detailed, this watchmaking kit is intended for children aged 12 plus. This is the right kind of size for a child with a small hand to be able to get a good grip of it, because, for example, with a professional watchmaking screwdriver made by Bergen, they have a very slender shank, and they're of course intended for adult watchmakers with high dexterity. But bear in mind, a child that's 12 years plus might not have that manual dexterity developed like an adult 18 plus. So this is large, and the rubber O-rings on the shank are very grippy and tactile, easy to get good purchase with your index finger and thumb. So a 12-year-old could grip hold of this very well with a smaller hand and feel secure using it, because of course it does have a very fine tip on it with a crosshead screw suitable for the crosshead screws used in the case back. So it's 1.2mm by 25mm, and what I like about it is the attention to detail, because the end of it, the head, rotates smoothly. So for example, like a professional watchmaker's screwdriver, the rotating head fits into the palm of the hand like so, and that means that you can keep the palm of the hand static when rotating the shank, and you grip the shank with the 4 rubber O-rings with your index finger and thumb, and you rotate it like so. And it's good because the head fits into the palm of the hand, but with the index finger and thumb you grip the rubber O-rings, and you can very precisely turn it clockwise and anti-clockwise, which is excellent. This is a good quality screwdriver. I like the profiling of it. It's got nice curvature to it. They've done this very well because it's comfortable, and it's comfortable for adults to use, and it's also comfortable for children aged 12 plus. It's excellent. Now, one also gets this nylon plastic tweezers, and it has a protective cap on it, which is nylon, which is good because it's got very fine points to it, as you can see, which are moulded to a very precise point, rather like a precision ground stainless steel pair of tweezers. This is good. They've thought this through very well because they appreciate there's a risk of children injuring themselves because they're not going to take as much due care as an adult. So they've put this protective nylon cap on it, but when you remove it, we have very fine pronged forks to it, as you can see, and the tips are very precise, which is good. These are used for picking up the watch hands when you're setting them on the cannon pinion. Now, they've made the correct decision because these are made from nylon plastic. Had they made the tweezers out of stainless steel, there would be a risk of scuffing or scratching the dial and of course the hands themselves. And this is good because with this nylon plastic set, of course, it's softer than steel, and therefore it's not going to scuff and scratch the watch parts. But it is very good because the child can get used to improving their manual dexterity, picking up fine parts with the tweezers such as the watch hands, and of course the Rodico putty will aid that if their dexterity isn't good enough. But good to see plastic tweezers included rather than stainless steel. One also gets this watch setting tool. So aluminium shank, which is knurled, no sharp edges because there's deep chamfers on the edges, on the ends of it, on the knurled shank, and that deburs the sharp tips to the knurled teeth. One end has a brass pusher on it, and as you can see, there's a dimple in the centre. This is good. Sometimes watch hand pressing tools is what I'm trying to say. They don't have this dimple. This dimple is good because it registers on the Canon pinion and therefore it helps centralise it when pressing the hour, minute and second hand onto the Canon pinion. So brass end at one end, which is good. This is used for pressing the second hand into the top of the Canon pinion. The other end is made from nylon. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. And also has a dimple in it which helps centralise it or locate it on the Canon pinion. This one is used for setting the hour hand and the minute hand. So to clarify, the hand stack height is hour hand first, then minute hand on the Canon pinion, and lastly one uses this brass one to press on the minute hand into the hole into the Canon pinion, because the minute hand has a spigot which fits into the hole in the centre of the Canon pinion. So one uses the brass one for the second hand, but for the hour and minute hand one uses this nylon one. Excellent to get this included, and as I've detailed, they've included two sets of hands because they appreciate that some children might damage the hands when fitting the hands for the first time. It does take several attempts if you're not used to doing it, and they've included a spare set if you want to remove the hands, disassemble the watch and practice reassembling it over and over again to improve your skills. So this is a good quality and correctly proportioned hand setting tool. Now, they've also included a pair of these. These are hand removal tools and they are made from steel, and as you can see the body is made from aluminium which is anodised in grey, very aesthetically pleasing. Nice curved cap to it, so no sharp edges. Again, this is good attention to detail because it doesn't have any sharp edges or sharp points, therefore it's not going to injure a child. It's not going to pierce the hand or their fingers or thumb. Knurled shank is grippy and tactile, correctly proportioned, but no sharp edges. The end of the knurling on the shank has a large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips, and we've got grooves machined into the shank, and again this makes it very grippy and tactile, and it's correctly proportioned for an adult but also for a child aged 12 plus to get a good grip of it. Now you can see, just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus. It's got precision ground steel tips, and these have a curved profile. They're scallops on the top edge and curved on the underside. What you do is you use these in pairs, like so. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus. So this is how they sit on the dial. You sit them with the curvature pointing upwards. And what you do is you lever these underneath the handset and you push down on them like so. And that has the effect of prising up the handset off the Canon pinion. It will remove all three hands in one go. So you engage these beneath the hour hand, and the hand stack height is, to remind you, hour hand, then minute hand, then second hand on the top of the Canon pinion. So after you've fitted the hands, or for example if you're not happy with the alignment, you can remove them and reset them again. You simply engage the two of these tools beneath the hour hand at the base of the Canon pinion, and then you lever against the dial like so, and it will prise up the full three hands all in one go off the Canon pinion, and then you can reset them. So a pair of these, they're both identical. Precision ground tips are very well done. No sharp edges, they've been deburred and chamfered very well, but they are fine enough to get good purchase beneath the hour hand on the Canon pinion and prise up the handset. So for example, a child or indeed an adult could practice removing hands from the Canon pinion and resetting them and removing them again and so on, and it's good practice because setting hands is a very tricky job. It can be very fiddly if you're not used to it, and of course if you don't have a high level of manual dexterity. Having these hand removal tools, the pair of them, is very good. And lastly, one gets this tool which is very useful. This is a Bergen Swiss made dial protector, and it's dial protector number 6938. Now it's very thin. This is good. It's made from plastic and it's got a slot in it. Purpose of the slot is to fit around the Canon pinion. So this goes on top of the dial. When the movement is fitted to the dial, the Canon pinion projects through the dial, and this dial protector slides around the cannon pinion on top of the dial, and it protects the dial from scuffs and scratches. So when you're fitting the hands to the cannon pinion, there's a risk you might slip off the cannon pinion with the tool and therefore scuff and scratch the dial. But this dial protector is good because it's easy to fit around the cannon pinion. You can set the hands on the cannon pinion with this in situ, and then once you've fitted the hands, it slides out from the dial. And this is excellent. Very good to get this included, and very good to get a genuine Bergen Swiss made 6938 dial protector. This is used by professional watchmakers, and it really is a good quality dial protector. I've used this myself, and it does do a good job for all dial sizes and all cannon pinion sizes of protecting it. So nice to see all those tools included in this pencil case style case, and I like it's made from white vinyl. Good stitching around it, good quality, and I think this would appeal to a child age 12 plus because it's rather like a pencil case. So as I've detailed, we've got the items, 4 cutouts. Now I'm going to take out the items and show them to you because we want to look at the watch itself, and we also want to look at the other parts. So resin case, and I'm just going to take out the crown and winding stem. We'll look at that separately. Resin case is rather like the resin case used with Casio digital watches. Now, as I've detailed, BeWatchmaker supply this case in 2 versions. You can have it in white or black. The white case has black outlines to it, rather like pencil drawing, and this black resin case has white outlines in the form of pencil drawing. This would appeal to a 12-year-old plus child because it is rather like the case used on Casio digital watches. It's matte black resin, it's durable, it's robust, it's suitable for impact damage, and I like it. I think it's the correct choice. Rather than using a metal case, had they used a metal case, that would not appeal to a child, and of course there would be a risk of scuffing and scratching a metal case, such as a stainless steel case. Resin cases are good. They're durable, they're robust, they can survive impact damage, being dropped on the ground. And of course, children that are playing, banging into each other, they're not going to injure each other. And the other thing is they're not going to damage a resin case like a stainless steel watch. So, sapphire crystal glazed, which is good. And I like the profiling it. The shape of it is rather like a Patek Philippe Nautilus because we've got a bulge on the left-hand flank and a bulge on the right-hand flank for the crown guards, effectively. And you can see angular profile to it. Now, what I like about it is there are no sharp edges because one has to remind yourself this is intended for 12-plus-year-olds, not for adults. And of course, one has to think about children injuring themselves when playing, and also sharp edges on the case, scuffing and scratching their wrist. This is good because it does have an angular profile to the lugs, but the underside of the flanks of the case are deburred. No sharp edges. The curvature of the right-hand flank has nice curved profiling, and the bulge on the left-hand flank is also curved, so no sharp corners on it. It's safe, that's the point. Correctly proportioned, so dimensions are as follows. 42.6mm case diameter. We have a lug-to-lug measurement of 49mm, a thickness of 12.5mm, and a thickness of 10.7mm, an integrated lug width internally of 12.5. Now, when the watch is fully assembled on this silicone rubber strap, it is only 37 grams. So to put that into perspective, 37 grams is very similar to a Casio digital watch, and this is good. 37 grams is very lightweight, and one has to appreciate this is intended for children aged 12 plus. They're not going to want to wear a large piece, which is 42.6mm diameter, made in stainless steel, because that would have too much heft. It would have too much weight for a child to be comfortable for them to wear for long periods of time. For a 12-year-old plus, yes, this is going to be comfortable because 37 grams really does feel weightless on the wrist, and they'll like the wrist presence, they'll like it being a large bulky watch, but however it doesn't feel top heavy, it feels comfortable. So great choice with silicone rubber for a child because, as I've detailed in my previous reviews, watch straps are made from a plethora of rubbers: natural rubber, NBR, which is nitrile butadiene rubber, FKM floor rubber, and lastly silicone rubber. Of all the different types of rubbers, silicone rubber is the most soft and supple. So the negative is it's not as hard and durable as natural rubber or NBR, and it's not as hard and durable and robust as FKM floor rubber. But the benefit is, which outweighs all of those, from the perspective of this being a children's watch, silicone rubber is very soft and supple. So a child isn't going to find this uncomfortable. The strap isn't too stiff. It flexes very well. Silicone rubber is very soft. It's perfectly smooth on the underside. It's not textured. This is good because when a child's wearing this for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, it doesn't feel rough, doesn't feel scratchy. For example, like a nylon NATO strap or a fabric strap, which could irritate a child. This is perfectly smooth and it's going to be very comfortable to wear. Silicone rubber is not as durable and robust as FKM or NBR, but nonetheless, it's very soft, and I think the benefits outweighs the negative. So perfectly smooth on the underside. There are enough holes in it to fit a minimum 5-inch wrist size up to a maximum 7.5-inch wrist size, so clearly it will fit a child, and also would indeed fit an adult between 5 and 7.5-inch wrist size. Top side is very aesthetically pleasing, bevels on the edges, and it's also got a textured finish, which reminds me of Barton Elite straps. They also use this nice gripped finish to it, so looks good, feels good, matte finish to it, and black is very aesthetically pleasing. It complements the black resin case. On the buckle and tang side, we have two keepers. Now they're not fixed, both keepers can slide, they're correctly proportioned. Buckle and tang is solid 316L grade stainless steel, nice heavy gauge to it. Good attention to detail because it's laser etched with the B emblem of BeWatchmaker. No sharp edges to the top edge, underside or flanks, so therefore it's not going to scratch a child. No sharp corners to it. And the mirror polishing is excellent on the top side and the flanks, and the proportions are good. Tang is good, doesn't have a sharp edge on it, so it's not going to injure a child, but it's going to be easy for a child to adjust this on their wrist, and they're going to find it easy to use. That's the point. Stainless steel case back, longitudinally brushed satin finished, laser etched with a B emblem for BeWatchmaker and BeWatchmaker text logo. 4 stainless steel crosshead screws, which are good. This screws down the stainless steel case back securely to the resin case, and it does remind me of a Casio digital watch. Now, as I've detailed, they have included the correct 1.2mm crosshead screwdriver, so the child can therefore fit the case back easily using the 4 crosshead stainless steel screws. This is good. The stainless steel screws are not going to corrode and rust if they get the watch wet, which is good. The case back is also made from solid stainless steel. It's not nickel plated mild steel, so therefore it's not going to corrode and rust if they get it wet. This is the correct choice. Had they used a screw down case back, a child might find that to be too difficult. At the age of 12 plus, using a case back tool might be too difficult, so it might require too much manual dexterity. And I think they've made the correct choice by using a pressed stainless steel case back with 4 holes drilled in it and the 4 crosshead stainless steel screws. They are going to require some manual dexterity to fit this, but I think it's going to be something a 12-year-old plus would be capable of. Using a screw down case back with a case back tool could be more difficult, and they could slip off it and scuff and scratch the case back. This is easier. It's rather like a Casio digital watch. I think they'll like it. The benefit is it's also flat and low profile, so this piece is only 10.7 thick, and I'll show you in a wrist shot. It's low profile. A child will find this to be comfortable to wear. It feels smooth. The laser etching doesn't feel sharp or rough as per a forged hydraulically pressed case back or an engraved case back. The laser etching feels perfectly smooth, and the longitudinal brushed satin finishing has a beautiful luster, but the point is it's going to be smooth and comfortable for a child to wear. They're going to like the watch and want to wear it after assembly. So let's look at the crown and winding stem. So solid 316L grade stainless steel crown, coin edge finished, mirror polished domed cap, and no sharp edges to it because there's a large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips of the coin edge teeth, correctly proportioned. It's sterile. Now, subjectively, one could be critical and say, well, they could have laser etched, embossed or engraved the B emblem. That would make it look better, but of course one has to appreciate the price point. This is $190, which is €162 respectively, and in order to make production viable with a reasonable production in order to make production cost viable, in order to maximise profit margin per piece and make it viable, they've had to keep the price down. So I think it's acceptable. Now, the winding stem is stainless steel and it's pre-cut to length, and they've threaded on the crown onto the winding stem and they've bonded it on with thread locker, so therefore you don't need to cut the stem, you don't need to fit it into the crown, you don't need to use thread locker. That would of course be beyond the capability of a 12-year-old or 12 plus. So this is good. The winding stem and crown are already assembled, and this simply pushes into the case. As you can see, it's a push-pull crown versus a screw-down crown, and once the dial hands and also the movements are fitted to the case, you can also fit in the crown and winding stem after, they simply click in. So it's not a screw down crown, and it feels smooth, so the execution is good, and the winding stem is pre-cut to length, so it's going to operate correctly. And I think the proportions are good. Now, looking at the projection of it, it's good. It's large enough to be grippy and tactile, and one has to appreciate this is not made for an adult. This is made for a 12-plus-year-old. It's going to be large enough for a 12-year-old to get a good grip of it with their index finger and thumb. It projects far enough right of the right-hand flank, but it's not too large. So when they flex the wrist, it's not going to dig into the back of their hand and be uncomfortable. And no sharp edges to it, so they're not going to injure themselves. And I think it's right. It does look like a Patek Philippe Nautilus case shape, but the crown isn't too large, although it is large enough to be grippy and tactile. And looks good, feels good. Feels smooth inside the case, and I think it's acceptable to use a push-pull crown at this price point in a resin case piece versus a screw-down crown, and for a children's watch that is good enough. So, looks good. Stainless steel crown isn't going to rust or corrode. It's not a nickel-plated brass crown, for example. It's excellent. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, you have to be mindful, this is made for a 12-year-old or 12 plus. It's clearly not meant for an adult, but nonetheless, I'll give you a wrist shot just to give you an impression of how it might look. So, strap will fit from a 5-inch minimum wrist size up to a 7.5. I can just engage the tip of the silicone rubber strap in both keepers, you can see. But to fit my 8-inch wrist, it would need to be half an inch longer, but I'm not going to be critical because this is a children's watchmaking kit for 12 plus years old. 5 inches is the minimum, as you can see, plenty of holes. It will fit a child, that's the point. It would even fit an adult up to 7.5 inches. So you might want to purchase this for your child, but actually wear the watch yourself. As you can see, wrist presence is good. A 12-year-old is going to enjoy this because rather like a Casio digital watch, like a G-Shock for example, it does have wrist presence at 42.6, does have a long lug to lug of 49, but it's only 1mm above the sweet spot for 6 to 7 inch and 7 to 8 inch wrists. And angular profile is good, no sharp edges. I like the white outlines on the angular lugs and also the bezel because it looks like pencil drawing of a watch case. And as I've detailed, the resin case is available in white with black outlines, or alternatively this black resin case with white outlines, so the child can choose a white or a black resin case. They can also choose from 6 style colours. So proportions are good. Flat sapphire crystal is good, and what I like about it is its low profile. This is only 10.7, so particularly suitable for a child because it's not going to be too thick, too top heavy, too bulky, and of course the lack of heft is beneficial. 37 grams means it feels weightless on wrist, and even for a 12-year-old plus child, they're going to appreciate it's not a thick, heavy watch. Like a stainless steel case would be far too heavy, it would be 100 grams, far too heavy for a 12-year-old or 12 plus. The silicone rubber strap is comfortable, feels smooth, doesn't feel rough, and it wraps around the wrist very well. Nice textured profile to it, and the matte black tone of it complements the matte black resin case. So wrist presence is good, but lack of heft is also good, enhances comfort level and feel good factor. From a child's perspective, if I were 12 years old, I would like this watch. I'd like the rubber strap on it, I'd like the integrated lugs, angular profile, the white outlines, and the wrist presence, but it lacks heft. It's comfortable, and of course when it's assembled with the blue sunray dial, it's going to be very aesthetically pleasing. I think a child would really like this as an alternative to a Casio digital watch. Nice to see the buckle and tang is signed with a B, and the 2 keepers are correctly proportioned. So strap is going to be comfortable, and of course the head of the piece lacks heft, so it's also going to be comfortable. No sharp edges to it, so it's not going to scratch a child when they're playing with another child, and of course feels comfortable. That's the main point. A child could wear this for 8 to 12 hours per day comfortably and without it becoming uncomfortable. Right, so let's look at the parts that come in the kit. So as I've detailed, case and strap, which I've shown you, also has an introduction to the dial, movement and hands, and each of the components come in these plastic cases which are a snug fit, and I'll take out and show you. This is very well thought through. What they've done is they've cased each of the parts and they're sterile, so they're not contaminated with dust particles, and they're in a plastic case which can be opened, and they're secured between 2 pieces of cellophane. This actually works very well. On the front there's a scallop and it has push embossed, and you simply press in and open the hinge lid. And just bear with me, I'll move the dial out of position. So as you can see, easy to take out the watch parts from the case, and I'll actually do that because I can clean them with the blower included. So for example, if you get dust particles when you're wearing the finger cots, you can use the blower to remove the dust particles and lint, so it can be sterilised after. So this is the watch dial itself. Applied silver indices are mirror polished to a good standard, good symmetry of the dial. We've got double applied indices at 12, BeWatchmaker emblem and BeWatchmaker logo printed with high definition printing in white. Chaptering is also printed with dots with high definition printing. It's got a sunray pattern to the dial, and as I've detailed, they offer this kit with 6 different colour watch dials, and you can also choose a black or white resin case. So horizontal grooves which are machined into the dial, and I like the blue tone of it because it changes colour in the light from an electric blue to a navy blue, so it's got a nice sunray finish to it. Rather than just using a matte blue textured dial or glossy enamel blue dial, it's got that sunray finish to it, so it changes colour. I think this would appeal to a child. There's a notch at the 3 o'clock position, which is good for alignment of the dial when you're setting it on the movements. And on the reverse, we've got 2 dial feet. This is good. It's nice and simple, but it works very well because the 2 dial feet, they register very well. They locate very well into the movements, which I'll show you. The movement has 2 holes drilled in it in the correct position, the correct orientation for the 2 dial feet to set into with friction, and this secures the dial to the movement. So as you can see, the dial is very well finished, no sharp edges to it. It's got a chamfer on the edge, on the top edge and the low edge. So for example, a child isn't going to cut their fingertips or their thumb when handling the dial, even wearing the finger cots, which does give some protection. The point is, this is safe for a child to handle. No sharp edges to the dial. It's very well made. Quality of the applied indices is good. Quality of the printing on the dial is good. And also, the indices are inlaid with C3 Super Luminous, which we'll test in the Lume test. Actually, we'll do that now. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. I want to see what the performance is of the C3 Super Luminous used. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, we're clearly looking at C3 Super Luminous because it's glowing green. Now the camera is struggling to autofocus, so I'm just going to charge it up again, and we're going to try and get the camera to focus on it. I want to see the potency of the exciter. I want to see how it is, because this is something that children would particularly like. Lume on a watch. Now as you can see, it's glowing, but it's not glowing very brightly. So this tells me that we're not looking at 5 to 6 layers of C3 Super Luminous. I think we're looking at less. We're looking at 2 to 3 or possibly 3 to 4. I'm going to charge this up again, try to get the camera to autofocus to show you what I'm seeing. Right, so it's struggling to focus on it. Now the potency of the exciter isn't as bright as I would like. I'd like to see 5 to 6 layers on the applied indices, brighter. The reason is because children would really like to see a glow-in-the-dark watch. That's the point. If you're 12 years old or 12 plus, having a glow-in-the-dark watch is something that's going to be very cool. And I think that they would particularly appreciate if this had 5 to 6 layers of BGW9 or 5 to 6 layers of C3 Super Luminous, respectively, because having a glow-in-the-dark watch, of course, for everybody, adults included, is very important. But specifically for children, they would really appreciate it glowing very brightly. This really does look to me, I think, 2 to 3 layers or a maximum of 3 to 4, because you can see, even when I'm charging it to the absolute maximum with my 100 UV LED torch, it's not giving me the potency of the exciter. The camera is really struggling to autofocus on it. So disappointing, but I'm just going to show you with the camera shining on it so you can see the application. So they need to improve upon this in the production models. Now this is a pre-production sample of the kit, and it is going to include a leaflet, and I'll detail what the leaflet includes later, but I want you to be mindful of this. So I'd like to see BeWatchmaker improve upon the quality, the number of layers they're using of the C3 Super Luminous. They could increase the potency to 5 to 6 because I think there's room for improvement. That's what I'm saying. So I'll put that back in the case, and I'll just use the blower to remove any dust particles before I close it up. Excellent. Just bear with me, I'll set it back in a better position using the wooden stake. That's better. So you can see it sits between 2 pieces of cellophane inside this plastic frame, and it's very secure and it keeps it sterile, so it's not going to be contaminated with dust particles. So I'll take out the movement and show it to you. So again, in a plastic case, as you can see, between two pieces of cellophane, so it's not going to accidentally move around. This is good because it protects it in shipping from any damage, because the two squares which it's sandwiched between and the two pieces of cellophane, it doesn't move about in shipping, but also the frames prevent it from being damaged with impact damage. And it's got a scallop with push on it, so you simply press it in and then you can open it, and it's a very snug fit, as you can see. So this is the movement itself, which I'll take out and show you. So it's a Miyota quartz, which is basic, but it does suffice. And on the reverse, we'll look at the battery. And this will be very interesting for a 12-year-old child, because if they haven't seen a quartz movement before, they'll be able to see it in detail. And of course, they have the loop, which is included. Just bear with me, the movements come out of the holder. As you can see, they have the loop, which is included. So they're going to be looking at the movements under magnification. So just bear with me. I'm going to put the movement back into the movement holder the correct way up, which is this way up. And it snaps in very easily. Just bear with me. My glove's got quartz on it. Like so. There we go. Snaps in very easily. So as you can see, movement snaps into the nylon movement holder very easily. So even a 12-year-old could do that very easily if they remove the movement and put it back in. And it has the battery already fitted to it, so it's ready to go. So they don't need to fit the battery, which might be too fiddly or tricky for a child. And they simply fit the dial to the movements. It presses in with the two dial feet, as I've showed you. And then they set the dial onto the movements, and then they set the hands on the cannon pinion. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. So it's very simple. This nylon movement holder is a snug fit inside the case, and it's the correct profile. It has a slot, and that denotes the winding stem, where the winding stem enters the movement, so they can't actually get it the wrong way round. It's very intuitive, but of course it does have an instruction video which details step by step how to assemble it, so they can't make any mistakes with it. For example, putting this into the watch case upside down or back to front, it's shaped, and the slot indicates the 3 o'clock position, so really it's intuitive, and even a 12-year-old could comprehend the right way to put this in. And of course the dial will only press on the front of it, not the reverse with the battery, so they can't mistake that. So it's a basic Miyota quartz, but it will suffice. Good to see the battery already fitted, and there are 2 holes in the front of it, and the 2 dial feet locate firmly into it, so even a 12-year-old will be able to press it in securely and assemble it. So the nylon movement holder works well, and as I've detailed, it's secured inside this case. So I'm just going to use the blower again to remove any dust particles or lint from my gloves, because I'm using fabric gloves, of course. Just bear with me, I'll put it in a better position. Just bear with me, and then I'll be able to show it to you better. That's centralised. Snap shut with a nice positive click. So this is good. You can keep it clean and sterile, and of course it does a good job of protecting it in shipping. But if the child wants to disassemble the watch and put it back together again later, and practice on it, of course, they can house the items in these cases. So they do actually work very well. So last I'll show you the handset, and as I've detailed, they do include a spare set of hands in the cardboard envelope, because they appreciate that it is easy to damage hands. So inside this cardboard envelope, to remind you, there is a spare set of hands, an hour hand, minute hand, second hand, and inside this case we have another set of hands. Now I'm not going to take them out because of course they're very fine and I don't want to lose them or damage them, but you can handle these with the tweezers or the Rodico putty. But what I will do is I'll just do a loom test, because I've done that with a dial and I think there's room for improvement. Now I want to see how the handset loom compares to the dial. This uses C3 Superluminova on the handset as well. So I'm using my 100 UV LED torch as always to charge it to its absolute maximum. Right, so they're now fully charged, and again the camera's struggling to autofocus, so I think we're looking at another 2 to 3 or maximum 3 to 4 layers. Now when I apply the UV lights, you can see green tone matches, so the point I'm making is, and I'll do the same on the dial, when you apply UV lights you can see the green tone is evenly applied, so they have done a good job of the green tone. It matches. In daylight, the indices are white and they match the handset. So there's not a mismatch. They don't look cream or white on the hands or the dial. But green tone is evenly applied, but I think the problem is simply down to its 2 to 3 layers or 3 to 4 versus 5 to 6. Because when I take it away, you can see the camera struggles to autofocus, like so. But even application, I just think they need to apply more of it. So I'm going to just do the same with the handsets. Again, as you can see, hour a minute hand loom, second hand doesn't have any loom on it. Let's charge it up to the maximum and see what the potency of the exciter is. 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 layers. We're not looking at 5 to 6. But the green colour tone match is good. That's the positive. In daylight, it's got the same white tone. In the dark, it's got the same green tone. I think 5 to 6 would be better. And of course, as I've detailed, a child will particularly appreciate this watch glowing in the dark brightly. So there's room for improvement in the production models, something I'd like to see BeWatchmaker improve upon. So that's the full kit. We've got the 3 squares, as you can see, or 3 frames, the cases, we've got the handset, we've got the movement, and we've got the dial, and it's good. And I think a child would enjoy looking through these and also handling them with the tweezers and of course the Rodeco putty. So you've seen the full kit, and I'm just going to put the crown and winding stem back into it. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So as I've detailed, this BeWatchmaker children's watchmaking kit will be available from Kickstarter.com from the 15th of September for $190 US, which is €162 respectively. Yes, I'm going to declare it excellent quality, and yes, I'm going to declare it excellent value for the watchmaking kits. This is excellent, and I think a 12-plus-year-old would absolutely love this kit. Being able to assemble their own watch, take it apart again and put it back again together, they would really enjoy that, and then at the end of it all, they get to wear the watch, which is the main thing. It's an excellent introduction to children to watchmaking, and indeed adults. Although it's intended for 12-plus-year-olds, I think adults that have never built a watch, a quartz-powered piece before, they would also equally enjoy this. So this would be enjoyable if you're an adult sitting down with your child, son or daughter, 12 years plus, helping them put together their first watch. Alternatively, it would be useful for an adult that just simply wants to practice setting hands on a Canon pinion, fitting a dial to quartz movement, removing the hands and resetting them. This is a good practice piece for adults. Although it's intended for 12 plus, I think adults would also enjoy this. Quality is excellent. There's only one area I'd like to see improvement on, and that is the loom. I'd like to see 5 to 6 layers of C3 applied to the dial and the hands. Other than that, the build quality, quality control, materials and finishing, the tools included are excellent. Now, lastly, I want to explain something else. This is a pre-production sample of the watchmaking kits, but the production model will have a leaflet included with QR codes. The QR codes can be scanned with your Android or iPhone, and that will download the owner's instructions and the instructions for assembly in French and English. So there will be an instruction video, and there is already an instruction video on the BeWatchmaker YouTube channel you can check out, but the video will detail how to set up the workspace, how to assemble the watch, and contain an owner's instruction manual for the watch after it's assembled. So they have addressed that. That is absent from this pre-production sample of the kit, but in the production kit it will have that leaflet with the QR codes. So they've thought of everything. So I'm going to declare it a champagne watchmaking kit for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the BeWatchmaker watchmaking kit. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.